Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and I know I don't do videos that I'm actually in very often because, I mean, well, look behind me, let's be real. But I wanted to do this video like this because I didn't want to just place it over some gameplay footage that we've already seen a million times. We all know I do it. And for those of you who the last time you saw me remember my beard, I'm sorry, it's gone. Meh. But anyway, let's get into the details. As you can tell by the title of this video, this is a video that is about a basic summary of what happened at E3 this year for the E3 Letter from the Producer Live with Yoshi P. I loved it. It was great. We got to see a lot of things we've been asking about for a while, so without further ado, let's jump right into them. Now, some of these questions I'm going to go through really quick. Simple, yes, no, whatever. First question, for example, I thought they were joking when they opened with this question. Can we get a hug emote? Like, just bro hug? I don't know why they started with that. I think they did it because they knew people would go crazy. But simply, yes, that and the slap emote are actually being worked on right now. The next one was about a relic weapon for Disciples of Hand and Land, and they said that perhaps in the future, Disciples of Hand can get desynthesis materials to create a sort of relic weapon. You know, something with a special glow for the crafters and the gatherers specifically. And yeah, we could see it in the future is basically all that they told us. Nothing specific though. Now from this point on, I'm probably going to lose my breath at a few points because I've had to explain this a lot of times while I was live streaming after the E3 letter from the producer. So excuse me if it seems like I'm a little bit out of breath. The next question was about new areas of the game. When are we getting them? Specifically areas around Coerthas, because the Coerthas from 1.0 was massive. And, well, it's not anymore. It's still big, but not nearly as big as it used to be. And they specifically gave us the name of the area for Frontlines, and it's going to be called the Cardinal Plains. It's actually near Mordona, and if you go to the back of the new Mordona from patch 2.28, you actually see a gate back there. It's very possible that this could be the entrance to the Frontline zone. Looking forward to it. As for the rest of the areas around Coerthas, soon, TM, hype. Now, this was a big one, because I am somebody who is a hardcore raider. I love tackling new raids as soon as they come out, figuring them out in my head, and of course posting videos about them on YouTube when I'm done. Now, for those of you who may remember from the letter from the producer live number 14, he mentioned a something extreme fight so hard that even the developers can't beat them. And that caught a lot of people's attention. Some people were like, oh god, more hard content, but 2.3 is not all about the hard content. It's about the fun content. But they want to be able to appeal to everybody with every patch. So we got some details about something extreme. It is actually going to be an extreme difficulty of the second coil of Bahamut, actually being termed the quote-unquote brutal difficulty of the second coil of Bahamut. It's sounding very interesting. Apparently the concept here is they're going to take mechanics that were initially so hard that they had to balance them, tune them, or remove them completely from the fights in the second coil of Bahamut. It's not going to be a simple HP and damage bump, it is going to be an everything bump. Mechanics that that don't even exist in the fights right now. And it's supposed to be so difficult that it's, well, brutal. One example they gave of a mechanic that was initially planned was for Rafflesia in turn 6. Apparently that fight was going to have a permanent debuff on the group that whenever you moved, you took damage. Very similar to Blighted Bouquet, and I'm sure Blighted Bouquet was the end result of all that testing, but listen, that's just the start, and that's not even really that bad, but it does make it sound like to me the line of sight strategy might be a lot better for that one. Just saying. They also wanted to make the fights a little bit more random. This has actually strangely been heavily requested. I don't know how many LYs I use there, but a lot of people want fights that aren't 100% scripted, which I understand. Fights like Titan where you can tell the fight from beginning to end in a sentence. They don't want that anymore. Sure, you want to know the mechanics that are coming, but what order they come in, being random, that could be pretty interesting. At the same time, it could also be incredibly unfair, so they said that will exist a little bit in the brutal difficulty of the second coil of Bahamut. Now I know a lot of you, like me, hardcore raiders, are wondering, well, what do we get for this? And to be honest, the rewards, not so great. Bragging rights. I'm not even kidding. Now that titles display above your head, you'll get a special title for defeating the second coil of Bahamut on the brutal difficulty. The loot, on the other hand, will be exactly the same as the item level 110 loot that is already in there. Now they did say that if this is well received and this is something that the players actively want, that the next time they do the brutal difficulty for probably the third coil of Bahamut, that they will in fact increase the effectiveness of the drops that come out there. It could be even so slight. I would like for items to go from 110 to a 115 version. It's not a massive upgrade, but it is an upgrade overall, and it would definitely prolong the raiding experience for me between the 6-month patches for the Binding Coil of Bahamut. They also made it seem like these patches are going to come on the odd-numbered patches, 2.1, 2.3, 2.5, whereas the normal difficulty will be, 2.0, 2.2, 2.4. This means that every patch will have a raid for the hardcore raiders, which is actually something that's been heavily requested. Sure, it's the same fights being rehashed, but as long as they're different to some degree, I'll be okay with it. Now, like I said, they're planning it for the odd number of patches, so you know what the next odd number of patches, right? 2.3. Now, they said it's planned for 2.3, but Yoshi P has said in the past they're not sure if it'll be ready in time. So, fingers crossed, maybe 2.35, who knows, but I think I'm going to need more than a month and a half in order to get all of these down. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how hard they actually end up being. Alright, I'm going to honestly do this next part really quick, because this is where I lost all my breath explaining things. They were asked if they had any special news, specifically for E3, and this is when they finally did it. New class, new job, one of each. Rogue, class, ninja, job. It is not two jobs. A lot of people have been asking me these questions, and I'm actually going to do a dedicated video about Rogue and Ninja, everything that we know so far, because if I were to explain it all here, it would be ridiculous. Now, I know a lot of you are wondering about the gun class that we were supposed to get. Well, that interview that mentioned the gun class said that it wasn't anywhere near completion and that the dagger class was much farther along their pipeline, meaning that they weren't expected to be released at the same time. Now, it's very likely that we could get it before 3.0 after getting Rogue and Ninja, which, by the way, play very similar to the way you think. They are DPS jobs, but like I said, I don't want to go into too much explanation here because I'm going to lose my breath again. I've had to explain this so many times, guys. I will say this, though. Rogue and Ninja are planned for patch 2.4. Not 2.3, 2.4. So if you're looking to raid on Ninja, hope you love those DPS queues that you're going to need to level up because they're going to be really freaking long. You might be wondering, oh god, you just said the magic word DPS queues. Oh, nightmares. And unfortunately, it is the truth. New tanks and healers aren't planned until the expansion. They did say this. Of course, could change. I just want to hold my breath. Now, I actually missed the next question in its entirety. I just remember how they were responding to the question as well. After the whole Rogue thing, I was like, oh, I got to everything. Yeah, I missed it, guys. I apologize. But it seemed like they were talking about more open world content. You know, how can we get some more open world content? And they brought up daily hunts, bringing back notorious monsters, obviously, enemies with rare or uncommon, or even sometimes common, spawning conditions that are a little bit stronger than the enemies in the rest of the world. It's bringing back some threat into the open world, and it's bringing back a reason for people to go throughout the open world and not just hub camp all day. They seem to really want to say that these aren't fates, that the daily hunts and the marks are not fates. I'm not saying they won't be at all, but they really seem to want to drive it home that they are not the same thing. And that's good, because a lot of people don't want them to be the same thing. They also mentioned that they are still looking into large-scale fates like Odin and Behemoth, and that they are planning some for the future, but they wanted to focus on the notorious monster aspect of the open world first. Now, the rest of the questions, in my opinion, were just good fun and good reminders. Number 9 that I have on my list is people have been asking, and I know I have, are we ever going to get a fight against all 4 of the Gorlian generals? For those of you who don't remember, that would be Ratatin, Livius Sashunia, Nero Tolskeva, and Gaius. That would be 4 generals. They kept bouncing back and forth between 3 or 4. I think because of some elements of the story that I won't spoil in this video, but regardless, we'll just have to wait and see. They originally said that was planned for the Fan Festival in October as a battle event, but that they had a better idea than that. I don't know what could be better than that, but I'm all for it. They said they'll release something like this for the Minstrel Ballad in the future. Another question, what is the status of personal housing? Now, this gets asked pretty much every time somebody has the opportunity. And they did want to nail it down that they have it planned for at 2.38 at the latest, and that means full-blown personal housing, not the personal rooms we're getting in 2.3, but they really are striving for before patch 2.4. Guys, we've heard this one before. We've been hearing this for a while. Take it with a grain of salt. That's all I'm going to say. Now, for those of you who don't know, a little reminder right here, a new trailer was actually released. 2 new trailers, one for Rogue and Ninja, which I'll include in the description below, and a new E3 trailer for the game itself called A Realm in Peril. This basically just shows off the primals, but it showed off one specific primal, this means 2, but one specific primal that we've been wondering about for a while, and that's Shiva. She was actually included in the trailer, and she was even in a lot of artwork at E3 itself. Now, they wanted to let us know she's definitely not a motorcycle, which blatant stab at Final Fantasy 13 that I absolutely love Yoshi P for saying. Another thing they wanted to say is that the reason why, even though Ramuh is the next Primal, and that probably would have been more appropriate to do it, that he wasn't sexy enough. I didn't expect them to say that. It's like, yeah, you know, the main reason we didn't use Ramuh, he just wasn't sexy. I don't know, women like beards, don't they? Ramuh's got that gorgeous beard, and everyone's mad at me because mine is gone. Let's move on from this topic. Shiva's story hasn't really come out yet, so we're expecting it to come in patch 2.3, start leading into Shiva and the future of where we're going, even all the way into the expansion. We can expect those details to start surfacing from the story in 2.3. Another bunch of quick ones. Thoughts about 8-man dungeons? They said it's on their priority list, but that it's not high on their priority list. They want to focus on doing what they already do well, primals, Coil, Crystal Tower, working on content like that. Then focus on solo dungeons that people can take on alone, and then they want to work on more 8-man dungeons like Castra Meridianum and Praetorium, but a little bit more challenging than those story mode dungeons. Number 13 is there any content being designed for large free companies? Obviously, one big problem with the game right now is even if you have a free company with 200 plus players, they're all in small groups of 8 doing Coil every week, and it forms cliques, and it's not very social, and the communication isn't really there. And they said that they are planning content for free companies specifically, but not just large free companies. They really don't want to exclude the free companies only have 5, 6, 7, 8 people, just for one static, you never know. So they are going to be focusing on things that the entire free company, regardless of size, can participate in. Obviously, smaller free companies will have to put in more effort on an individual basis, but the larger free companies will have the bonus of being able to set specific tasks for each free company member or group of free company members. We'll just have to see what comes out of this, really. Now, this was a question I actually added my own note for. Will we see unique stats on gear? And that means stats like maybe Shield Bash Potency plus 10, or Fire can add a dot that lasts for X amount of time. And I very specifically put next to this, gear seems to be too plain right now. I should have said boring, but yeah, stats are pretty boring right now in the game. And they said that it's difficult to balance because as soon as you add something like that, and it's something that's obtainable by most players, that people sort of consider it mandatory. They have to then balance the fights around people having it because people are going to make it mandatory. It's basically the same problem that is right now with item level, and it's taking it a step further. Oh, you don't have the ability to shield bash for an extra 1 second? We don't want you. We'll take the paladin that does. So they really don't want to do it, but there's so much interest in it that, well, they have to do it. They're pretty much saying, yeah, we're going to look into it now. There's so much interest in it, we can't avoid it any longer. Now, question 15, at least it's 15 on my list, goes kind of back to question 13, where whatever happened to free company airships? We heard about these pretty much before the game even launched, and we haven't heard much about them since. Maybe one of the live letters we heard a little bit, but it's kind of disappeared into, I guess, vaporware or vapor patch, whatever you want to call it. And they said it hasn't been forgotten. They're actually actively working on the art for it now. And they showed a little screenshot of the guy, of a small little guy in a giant, what looked like warehouse, with a small airship magic condensing the airship so it could fit inside of a house. It looked way bigger than any house that exists in the game right now. So if that's going to be something that goes in our house, we better be digging deep if we're going to put something that big in there. Because the character was like this big. It's like if the guy was this big and like my whole room was the size in comparison to where he was. It was massive, that's all I'm going to say. Another thing that they brought up a long time ago, and I get asked about this one specifically all the time, is what happened to the concept of primals like Ifrit, Garuda, Titan, just roaming over the lands and being captured by people? I was very glad to see that they actually brought this up on stream, because this is a feature they haven't mentioned in a really long time. They said that is actively still being worked on still, and not only that, but one of the only things holding it back is how are we going to work it into the story? You guys already beat these primals. Why are they... they just don't want them walking around for no reason. I guess I would like more of an explanation about Odin, why he's walking around for no reason, but you know, I guess we'll just have to see. Now, this was some good news right here about the marriage system. Now, marriage system has been making more and more headlines in Final Fantasy XIV news as time has gone on, especially as we've approached patch 2.3. It's not planned for patch 2.3, it's actually planned for patch 2.4, or at least to be in the game by 2.4. And a lot of people have been wondering about same-sex marriage. Is it going to be available? And I think you'll be happy. It's basically restriction-free. 2 players will be able to, quote-unquote, pledge their eternal love and or friendship in a ceremony. That means that it's available to players regardless of race, regardless of gender. So, Any of you out there looking to form a bond of friendship, well, you'll be in luck. Nothing's going to stop you. Good, because honestly, they would have just opened a can of worms if they hadn't allowed it, and it's just good that they actually do allow it. There also briefly mentioned marriage-specific mounts that 2 people can ride together. Hopefully that's not the only way of using the 2-man Chocobo that we saw in the live letter 14. Next, a PvP question. We're going to get through this one quick. What about a dueling system? For those of you who don't know, dueling, 1 versus 1 combat. And most people would say out in the open world. Now, it hasn't been 100% confirmed, but they say that if and when it does get added, that it's going to be more about checking your PvP skills and DPS. Obviously, you're not going to treat each other like PvP dummies, but actually, that's kind of what dueling is anyway, so sure, we'll go with that. Obviously, I just want to be able to duel my friends and be like, yes! I'm a bard and you can't hit me. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Now, this is more of an aesthetic thing. In the future of the Zodiac Weapons quest, are they going to change in significant ways other than just appearance, sounds, animation, things like that? The short answer was, yeah, they're working on special things like that. Obviously, the Zodiac quest is going to end at some point, and we'll have the ultimate end result Zodiac Brave weapon, and that weapon is going to look different, have different sounds, different animations. I'm looking forward to it. Something like the Zantetsuken would really be nice, especially from a sword perspective. That thing's like a lightsaber. And the last few questions are really the smaller ones, the little quality of life things that we're used to asking. And let's run through these real quick. Any plans on giving use to the tokens from the Extreme Primal quest from 2.1, obviously for defeating Garuda, Titan, and Ifrit Extreme? He said maybe in the future, but if you're really strapped for inventory space, you could feel safe to get rid of them. You know where you get them again if you end up needing them in the end. The next one, this question has been asked a million times. I don't even know why I'm reading it right now. Any details about using your personal Chocobo while queued in the Duty Finder? Yes, we're working on it. It's really hard, but it's a top thing on our priority list. You guys know the deal. This question gets asked every time somebody has the opportunity to ask it. Even Yoshi P was like, oh, come on, man. Stop asking me that. It's the same answer as last time. Give me a break here. That is really how he acted. I'm not even kidding. Next question. And this was, in my opinion, a great question, because this is a quality of life change that needs to happen, and they agree. Any chance we can get different HUDs when playing different classes? Because, I don't know about you guys, but when I go from playing Bard to playing Monk, I have to redo everything. I can't just use the same generic triple line, one big button in the middle kind of thing. I really need to be able to change my HUD for healers, my keybinds for I just need more options. I don't know about you guys, but I want this. And they said it is a necessity. They didn't say it's something they're working on. They did say it's something they're working on, but it's not like, oh, you know, yeah, we're looking into it now. They said this thing is a necessity. It's a perfect way of using the armory system, and the fact that it's not in the game doesn't make any sense. So it's a top thing on their priority list. Difficult to implement. We've heard it before, but it's being worked on, and when it comes out, I'm going to be so happy. I don't think I'll be that happy. I think the only other thing that will make me as happy as that one is auto-skip previously viewed cutscenes, and we have that already, so. And finally, they ended on the note, any information about the fan festival? Not really. Basically, just stay tuned. Tickets may give in-game items that you can redeem, so I'll have them, because I'm definitely going to the fan festival. I don't know about you guys in Las Vegas in October, but we really don't have any information about it. Can't buy the tickets yet. No information about the exact location in Las Vegas, so please look forward to it. Hi. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think about the E3 live letter. Was any of this information new and exciting to you? Is it making you kind of think, oh, I really want to play Ninja? Remember, I'm going to be doing a standalone video about Rogue and Ninja answering all of the questions, so be sure to look on my YouTube channel for that in the coming days. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share this video, and let everybody know, Ninja, it's coming. Oh, and yeah, and Frontlines and all the other stuff. And don't forget, Live Letter 15 is on Thursday. For all that information, for the trailer, for the Rogue and Ninja job, check in the description below. For the date and time and where you can watch the Live Letter Part 15, check in the description below. And be sure to subscribe so you can get the video about Rogue and Ninja when it comes out, as well as all the latest Final Fantasy XIV and other gaming news. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.